China has unveiled its first ever large passenger jet. This is the baby right here. It's all set, of course, to compete in a very lucrative airline market. The plane, it's the C919, can carry 168 people. It can cruise its distance 5,550 kilometres, or just over 4,400 miles, mid-size. It's to compete directly with planes offered by the global plane makers, Boeing's 737, lots of those planes around, Airbus's A320, lots of those ones around. And as you might imagine, both of those plane makers will be watching this new player over their shoulder very closely. Why? Because over the next 2 decades, take a look at this, it's projected that the airline industry inside China could need, look at that, some 5,000, nearly 5,600 passenger jets. Boeing forecast that massive market could generate business worth more than $750 billion. Now, everyone wants a big slice of that pie indeed, but global companies will be worried that the state-run Chinese airlines will now tie up with these big deals, with the country's biggest airlines, which, guess what? Yep, they're also state-owned. Let's get more on this. Thomas Sacker is aviation analyst with Frost & Sullivan. If I can turn my chair around. Hey, Thomas, great to have you with us. I think we've got some pictures of the unveiling of the C919, so let's just run those while I'm having a chat with you. Let's be clear, this is a Chinese-made plane, but the very important parts in it, like the avionics, the jet engines, they're from the West, outside. But put together, what do we think she's going to be like? I mean, she looks good. I mean, can she compete? Well,
that's going to be the main question in the next few years. The main challenge is the integration of the system, the assembly. So all the tests are going to be telling us what it can be done. A lot of analysts are expecting delays on airplanes. It's supposed to run commercial operation in 2019, but we're seeing that coming a little later.
Sure. And let's be clear too, like we've seen it with Airbus, right? We've seen it with the Boeing, Boeing sort of jets. There's delays on new things like this, especially for a country where this is their first ever foray. But, I mean, let's be clear again. I mean, is this Beijing's answer to the Boeings, to the Airbuses, to Brazil's Embraer?
It's clearly an answer. Whether or not it's going to be successful is a different question. Airbus and Boeing to answer that, because they were aware of the airplanes coming up into the market about 5 to 10 years ago. They answer very quickly with a new engine option, so the 737 MAX and the A320neo to really compete. They're also increasing the production rate, so they can feed a lot of the market and then get the price down and compete directly with the C919.
But, so look, we're looking at it now, but I'm trying to get my head around this because this is a huge market. I mean, a phenomenally huge. The Chinese market is the market that the likes of Boeing and Airbus have been relying on for their future profits, their future growth. As we said, nearly 6,000 jets possibly in 20 years. If she's successful, she could represent, certainly, I can only imagine, if this plane is successful in a test, she could represent a big threat to the sales of Boeing and Airbus.
Surely so. Like, that's what happened with Airbus. Came into the market as well with Boeing, and they now compete head-to-head. They have actually the biggest slice of the pie for that specific market on a single aisle. But still, there will be question, I think, because at the moment they've got 500 orders, all of which pretty much in China. While if we
one order from Thailand, I think there's one order from
that's what I say,
10 jets, but mostly from China.
Mostly from
and that's
China.
the point, isn't it? That if she is successful and she flies on the Chinese, let's just say the Chinese are happy, the plane maker for this plane is Chinese, state-run. The airlines, and there's many of them, are state-run. So this is Beijing could easily say to the airlines, you buy this one, you don't buy a 320, you don't buy a 737.
True, but last week, for example, they just signed 400 airplanes from Airbus. And it's going to keep on going like that for a little while, because the demand is really important at the moment. 4,000 airplanes in the backlog for the A320 of Airbus. It's huge. It's going to be a few more years.
Very, very briefly, for China has even said this, to make it really successful, their own aviation industry, they're going to need to make all the parts. Is there a concern that what do we call it, copying, espionage of, the jets, the avionics that they bring in from the West? Just very briefly. Yeah,
they like to work on the joint venture type of agreement, so definitely they're going to, I would not say copy, but get some inspiration from it.
It's a better word.
Yeah, but so did Airbus, did it, and they got a lot of American equipment on their airplanes as well, so it's a global market.
It's a global market indeed.